we are going to discuss about ERP packages, goals and objectives of ERP, the history of SAP, and how this SAP is providing the solutions to the companies. Then what are these technical modules? What are these functional modules? Then we'll discuss about the module called SAP MM. Why we need this module SAP MM, the purpose of SAP MM module, where the business of SAP MM module start and where it ends. So first we have to know what is an ERP. So ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Enterprise means a well-established organization or a company. When we take an organization, we need some sort of the resources to run the organization, like manpower, materials, machinery, money, method, time, with proper planning of purchase, production, sales, quality, maintenance, etc. Any company using the resources by planning to improve or to develop or to grow rapidly by the utilization of all these resources to run the day-to-day business process is called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Now in the market, there are so many flavors available. The ERP packages or ERP products. Out of which these are the ERP packages that are available in the market used in different parts of origin. They are not only the ERP packages, they are the organizations as well as ERP products. SAP, Oracle, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Bond, Microsoft Dynamics, Ramco, etc. So they are not only the ERP packages, they are the organizations as well as ERP products or ERP packages. Out of which SAP is a leader in the ERP environment, in the sense 80 to 85% of the market has been captured by SAP itself, in the SAP itself, in the ERP environment. The other ERP products, some of them are just for namesake. No, they are not available in the market. And why the companies are using these ERP products or ERP packages? To run their day-to-day business process, to increase the productivity of the business, reduce the cost of production, increase the system performance, customer satisfaction. That is quick ROI to the company, where ROI stands for return on investment. So these are the advantages and limitations of using the ERP product or ERP package. Now we talk about a product called SAP AG. Is not on an ERP product. It is a company founded in the year 1972. It was founded by 5 ex-IBM employees. So previously they are working in IBM company. They came out of IBM company and they started this company called SAP AG, where the company located in Waldorf in Germany. So it's purely a German-based company and German-based ERP. Always we're supposed to call SAP as systems, applications, and products in a data processing. We should call it as a SAP. We should never pronounce it as a SAP. It is an abusive word in the German language. So the reason we're supposed to call it as a SAP, where it stands for systems, applications, and products in a data processing. So that is an expansion or abbreviation of SAP. And what this AG stands for? That is a naming of the companies in the country Germany. AG stands for AG, It is a German word and German pronunciation, which is similar to limited in India, incorporation or corporation in USA, UK, etc. So that is the naming of the companies in Germany. So these are the 5 people who are the founders and the reason for this company and the ERP product. Dietmar Hub, Hans van Hector, Klaus van Luther, Klaus Chira, Sopran. So these 5 people are the ex-employees of IBM company and founders of this company, SAP AG and SAP ERP. Now coming to the system architecture of SAP, we call it as a SAP R/3, where R stands for real-time data processing, 3 stands for 3-tier architecture. Tier is nothing but scope of a computer or system. So the SAP system architecture is divided into 3 layers: presentation layer, GUI graphical user interface, application layer, web application, and database layer, Oracle, DB2, Sybase, etc. Prior to this, we have SAP R/2, that is IBM mainframe system. We call it a R/2 structure, system architecture. It is divided into 2 layers. Presentation application is 1 layer, database layer is another. And R/1, that is single tier. Example, our personal system or personal computer. Now, this SAP ERP product is divided into 2 segments, technical and functional. We call it the technical modules and we call it a functional. So people who are working in the technical platform in SAP, we call it the technical consultants, and people working in the functional side, we call it a functional consultant. So these technical modules are suitable for the people who are already being working in IT industry on different platforms, and people who are freshers to the market after their educational credentials with good IT skills, IT knowledge, kind of people go for technical modules. So for learning of this technical module, there is a prerequisite, that is programming skills, IT knowledge is mandatory. And coming to functional modules, they are exactly opposite to technical. So what are these functional modules means? For example, I will take a company called Asian Paints, one of the good paint manufacturing company available in the market. Today, the entire business of Asian Paints runs on SAP, and it was implemented, or he is the oldest customer, which was implemented in 1990s plus itself, and he's the oldest customer to the client. He is a client to the SAP. Now in this organization, we have so many departments. Not only this company, you take any organization. What are the departments we can have? Accounting, costing, purchasing or procurement, warehouse department, production department, sales department, quality department, maintenance department, projects department, personal and admin department, customer assistance department, safety department, etc. So if you take an organization, we'll have these departments. Okay. These departments are supposed to be treated as functional modules in our SAP ERP. Okay? The departments of particular organization, we are supposed to call as a functional modules in our SAP ERP environment. Like accounting leads to FI module. FI stands for financial accounting. Costing leads to a module called controlling. Purchasing, inventory, procurement comes under materials management. Warehouse, storage bins, shelves, racks, bins comes to a model called warehouse management. Production planning activities will come to a model called production planning and control. Sales and marketing department or sales and dispatching section department we call as a SD, sales and distribution module. Quality control department or quality assurance department comes under a module called quality management. Maintenance department or engineering department comes under plant maintenance. Projects department comes under project systems. Personal and administration department comes under HR, human resources. Customer desk or customer service department comes under customer service. And the safety department comes under a module called environmental health and safety. So what is this meaning of safety department? If you visit the industries, the companies like pharma, chemical, drugs, food industries, cosmetics, healthcare. In this type of industries, we'll have a safety department. What is the reason? That we need to have some safety measures because the employees, the people working in these manufacturing companies, they are going to deal and they are going to handle the hazardous and perishable materials. Okay. So a safety engineer has to provide a set of guidelines whenever they are performing an activity, an operation. Okay. So that model comes under safety. That department comes under safety department, and the model we call as a environmental health and safety. So like this, the departments of a particular organization are supposed to be treated as a functional modules. So for learning of these functional modules, there is no any prerequisite. Suppose I have decided to learn SAP MM. If I want to learn SAP MM, do I need any programming skills, IT knowledge? No, not at all. In functional modules also, there are certain functional modules like MM, SD, FI, HR. These functional modules, if people who are having domain experience or manufacturing experience or any experience, and people who are freshers to the market after their educational credentials can go to the module. And there are certain functional modules are there. If you want to learn, it's compulsory. You need to have the relevant department experience. Then only you can digest the subject. Now, for example, PM, plant maintenance. So who are the people suitable to learn this module, plant maintenance? A person who is working as a maintenance engineer in any manufacturing company, where his roles and responsibilities regularly to interact all the machineries and equipments, whether they are working properly or not, or what are the series of services involved or activities to be involved to execute it for smooth running of the machines. All these activities will come to a department called maintenance department, and the module is called plant maintenance. So unless and until a person having an industrial experience, that is domain experience, and that too working in a particular department, that is maintenance department, then only they can digest a subject called plant maintenance. Okay. Suppose I am a fresher in the market. In couple of days, I have completed my engineering. Okay. BTech mechanical. So I cannot learn directly the plant maintenance module because I don't know whenever a machine comes under breakdown, how to handle it, what are the services involved, why the machine has came for breakdown. So whenever a particular machine comes under breakdown, what type of maintenance activities you need to perform? That's the reason a person who is totally working on that particular department can understand the business process. That's the reason in the functional modules, to learn any of the functional modules, there is no any prerequisite, that is IT skills, IT knowledge. Of course, for some certain functional modules, you no need to have any experience. Even if you're a fresher in the market, you can learn. But for certain functional modules, do or die, it's mandatory. You need to have the relevant experience in the market. Apart from these functional modules, you have advanced functional modules also. These advanced functional modules are suitable for the people who are already being trained in the base functional modules or working on the base function. Now, SRM stands for Supplier Relationship Management. Recently, the name has changed to Ariba, A-R-A-B-A. Now we call it SAP Ariba. So a person who has completed training on MM module, working on MM module, can only learn the module called SRM. Conditions apply. So here MM knowledge is mandatory, compulsory. Similarly, CRM, Customer Relationship Management, SD background, sales and distribution. APO, Advanced Planner and Optimizer. It comes under the people who are background of PP, working experience on PP or got trained on PP. EWM, External Warehouse Management. So people who are background of MM and W. And BPC, Business Process and Consolidation. So people who are working on the module called FICO module, Financial Accounting and Controlling, are completed train on the FICO module. Similarly, industry specific products, specifically for industry segments into retail, oil and gas, utilities, healthcare, automotive, pharmaceutical, media, banking. These are specifically for the particular industry segments. So you cannot see these type of flavors, these type of functionalities in non-SAP ERP products. Coming to the software versions in SAP. In the olden days, we started the version, that is SAP started the version from 3.0. Then later on they upgraded to different versions. 3.0, 4.0, 4.5, 6, 7. Now the latest version is ECC 6.0, EHP 5 or 6, etc. From version to version, the hardware wise, the software wise, the business applications wise has been tremendously increased. Where ECC stands for Enterprise Central Component and EHP stands for Enhanced. And this is the installation of SAP by industry. So there is no industry in the market where SAP will not support, guys. You cannot point out that SAP ERP product is not fit for this industry. No other ERP product will support like this. With all the technical, with all the functionalities. So there are this SAP company, SAP ERP product is providing the solutions to almost all the industry segments. Pharma, chemical, consumer products, retail, utilities, telecommunications, aerospace, defense, engineering, construction, automobile, oil and gas, high technologies, banking, media, insurance, steel, transportation, logistics, services, etc., etc. Now, we call this SAP as a ERP product or ERP package. Each and every department or each and every functional modules are interlinked to one another or integrated to one another. Okay, what is this word called integrated? That we'll discuss now. Now, first is logistics. So we are discussing about the functional modules one. Logistics means right from identifying of the need of the raw material by the company, purchasing it from supplier, receiving it, checking the quality, supplying the raw material to production department until delivery of the finished material. Until delivery of the finished material to the customer. This entire part comes under logistics, so called as a supply chain management. There is purchase, inventory, warehouse, production, quality, maintenance. Total logistics activities will come under supply chain management. What is an MM? Stands for materials management. This module totally deals or talks about the purchasing activities, how it takes place in any organization. Okay. So MM stands for materials management. This module totally deals or talks about the purchasing activities or procurement activities, how it takes place in any organization. Identify the need of the material, creation of quotation, selection of the supplier, creation of purchase order, receive the material, and releasing the payment to the supplier. These total activities will come to a module called MM, materials management. PP stands for production planning and control. Okay. So this module totally deals or talks about the production activities, how it takes place in any organization. Okay. So all the production planning activities will come to a module called PP, production planning. So here, as per the customer business requirement, the production planning department people are going to produce a finished component, end component. So here you will have different types of plannings like make to order planning, make to stock planning. So keeping the requirements into consideration, there is customer requirement into consideration, the production planning department people are going to produce a finished. Then interaction with the customers, on-time delivery of the materials to the customers, shipping, picking, loading, unloading the materials, receiving the payments from the customers. All these activities will come to a module called SD, sales and distribution. QM stands for quality management. Obviously, whatever the materials a company purchase, whatever the materials a company produce, we need to check the quality of the material. Unless and until if you don't check the quality of the material, neither you can place the stock of the material in the warehouse, in the stores, nor you can remove the stock of the material from the stores or warehouse. For example, company has purchased the raw material, steel. Once we receive the stock of the material from the vendor, a sample of the material will be sent to the quality department. They will do quality check. Then they will declare the results. Then we'll take the decision and we'll pay the stock in the stores. In the similar manner, in the production planning department also, production people produce a finished material. After the production of the finished material, sample of the material will be sent to the production department, from production to quality department. Quality department will receive the stock, they will check the sample and they will declare the results. So it means whatever the materials a company purchase or whatever materials a company produce, we need to check the quality. That comes to a module called quality management. PM stands for plant maintenance. So when you take an organization, an industry, a company, they are going to use different types of machineries and equipments. Example, compressors, pumps, motors, diesel generators, heat exchangers, boilers, etc. When a particular organization running of these machineries and equipments 24/7, 365 days, then what happens? At regular intervals of time, we need to handle, we need to perform some services and maintenance process for smooth running of the machine. Okay, so what are the services are involved in a particular machine or a particular equipment? At regular intervals of time, the maintenance department will perform the maintenance activities. That comes to a module called plant maintenance. Financial accounting and controlling, FICO. This module totally deals with the payment related activities, how it takes place. Company is going to release the payment to the suppliers because you have purchased the raw material, and company is going to receive the payments from the customer because we have sold the finished material. Estimation of the cost of the finished material, capturing all the costs and expenses that takes place in organization. So all these activities will come to a module called financial accounting and control. And service management is nothing but totally the service desk or service assistance comes under service management, and HR is totally related to your personal and administration activities comes under HR, human resources. So like this, we have different functional models in our SAP ERP. So these are the different functional models what we have in our SAP ERP. And coming to technical side, ABAP is a programming language in SAP. So people who are interested to go as a programmer, as a developer, can go to a module called ABAP. If you want to learn ABAP, again you need to have the total programming skills up. Okay. So ABAP is a programming language in SAP. So people who are interested to go as a developer, as a programmer, even in SAP ERP environment, then you can go to a module called ABAP. It stands for Advanced Business Application Programming. So it is a programming language in our SAP ERP environment. So if you want to learn ABAP, at least you should have the minimum programming skills knowledge, like C, C++, Java. More than of C, C++ is mandatory. Okay. So without this, directly cannot go to a module called ABAP. And basis suitable for the people who are working as a network administrator, system administrator, network analyst, or system analyst. Working kind of experience people background are suitable for this module called BASIS. It stands for Business Administration System Integrated Solution. Like this, the SAP is providing the solutions to the industries into technical and functional. Now we talk about the business process. Procurement types. This is very important, guys. If you understand this business process, it is as simple as that. We take any organization in the market, pharma, mechanical, chemical, automobile, utilities, consumer products, whatever it is. Whatever may be the nature of that company, but business process remain the same. The procurement types are classified into two categories. They are external procurement, internal procurement. So what is this external and what is this internal? A customer places an order to the company. A customer or a company approaches to a company saying that we need a material called D, for example. D is a finished material required by the company or by the customer, Alex. Customer example, Alex. How much requirement they need this finished material? 1 lakh tons of the material per month. So it's a huge business requirement. The result of this material D will happen only when the company is having the stocks of the subcomponents or raw material CBC. If any of these material stocks are not available, we cannot get the resultant material called the material. Therefore, this customer will approach to a company, let us say, for example, XYZ Private Limited. Okay. So customer and company. The relation between these two will be sales order. What is a sales order? Sales order is a legal document which is created and maintained between the customer and company. So it's like an agreement, sale deed, or we can call it a sale agreement. Now the company has got the business from the customer, the business. Okay. Now the company has accepted the customer requirement. We call it as a demand management or independent requirement. Now the company has got the customer business order in their hands. Therefore, the company has to check the availability of the resources, isn't it? Because the company has taken the customer order and they took some time to deliver the material. Then what will be the next level of action done by the company? So they need to check the availability of the resources. It may be material, manpower, equipment, machineries, etc. Then the word comes MRP. In this context, MRP is not called as a maximum retail price. We're supposed to call it as a material requirement planning. MRP stands for material requirement planning. So this MRP decides what type of planning the company has to go. This MRP will decide what type of planning we should go. The first case is no stock available. So what is the meaning of no stock available? Means the customer has placed an order to the company. But the company don't have the stocks of the raw materials. Company is having the customer business requirement in their hands. But the other end, they don't have the stocks of the raw material. That is called no stock available. Then what the company is going to do then? The company will go for planning and the order is called planned order. Okay. So here no stock available means company don't have the stocks of the raw material. That is called no stock. Therefore, planning will take place and the order is called planned order. As the company don't have the stocks of raw materials, so company will go for purchase. Okay. So planned order is created. As the company don't have the stocks of raw materials, the company will go for purchase requisition, PR, or even we can call it a indent. In India, the other name for purchase requisition is indent, INDENT, indent. So here company has identified the need of the material, that is raw materials ABC. So from where they are going to get the material? So they need to find out the source of supply, who can supply the quality of the material. So once the company has got the requirement, they need to find out the source. We have found the requirement of the material, raw material ABC. So from where we are going to get it? So we need to find out the source of supply, nothing but vendors available in the market where they can supply the excellent quality of the material. So once we identify the suppliers in the market, as a buyer, the company will approach those suppliers. How they are going to approach those suppliers? In the form of quotation, RFQ, request for quotation. So the company will create the RFQ, request for vendors, quotation, request for quotation. So quotations are created by the company and they are sent to the vendor V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, V7, etc. Stating that, boss, we need the raw materials ABC. If you are ready to supply the material to our company, let us know the terms of conditions, payment, etc. Then company will receive all the quotations from all the suppliers and they'll do price comparison for the quotations. So the company send the quotations to the vendors. These vendors receive the quotation sent by the company. Now vendor V1 say, okay, Shekhar, we are ready to supply the material to your company, provided these are my terms and conditions, warranty, services, reliability, blah, 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 blah. Vendor 2 says, okay, Shekhar, we are ready to supply the raw materials ABC to your company, provided conditions apply. Next, vendor 3, vendor 4. Like this, the company is going to receive the information or quotations from all the. So company will receive all the quotations from all the suppliers. We'll do price comparison for the quotations and we'll select the source of supply or vendor. On what parameters a company can select the supplier? Based upon price, quality, delivery, and the service. Now, I know the material what I want to buy as a buyer. Now, I know the source of supply, the supplier from where I can buy. The relationship between the buyer and the supplier is so called as a PO, purchase order. So what is a purchase order? So purchase order is a legal document which is created and maintained between the buyer and the supplier. Next, approval of the purchase order. So approval of the purchase order means in an organization, in the companies, daily you are going to create so once purchase order is created, the purchase order will be sent to the supplier and this supplier will receive the PO from the company. As per the PO information, the vendor will deliver the material to the so purchase order confirmation takes place. So once purchase order is created, if it has to go for approval, purchase order approval takes place, which will be approved by your manager, senior manager, vice president, CEO, whoever it may be. Once purchase order gets approved, it will be sent to the vendor. So the sending of purchase order may be through mail, courier, fax, whatever the flavor the company is following it. Purchase order will be sent, vendor will receive it. As per the PO information, he delivers the material. The company will receive the stock of that particular material. They will check and they will verify. So here, once purchase order approval takes place, confirmation will get it from acknowledgement from the vendor. Again, as a purchase order, vendor will send the material. Then we create a GR with reference to purchase order. It is a confirmation that you have received the stock of the material.
Hello, can I talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, you explained me a lot. I understand well, but here I have some doubts because which points will be applicable to me as a SAP MM consultant?
I will tell
See,
you. I will tell you.
plan order,
One second.
purchase order,
One,
requisition, everything
one
is
second. One
going on.
second. One second.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
second. One
please.
second. Then confirmation of the purchase order takes place, that is acknowledgement. Once we receive the material from the vendor, we create a GR with reference to purchase order, stands for goods receipt. It's a confirm that we have received the stock of the material. Then sample of the stock of the material sent to the quality department. They will check the quality of the material. Then finally stock is placed in the warehouse, in the stores. The vendor will send the invoice. We'll receive the invoice. We check, we verify, and finally release the invoice for the payment. So payment to the vendor, done by the finance department. So right from identifying of the need of the material from planned order up to payment to the supplier. This total cycle, this total part comes under procurement called external procurement, that leads to a functional module called SAP MM. Right from requirement identification to releasing the payment to the vendor. This entire part comes under MM. The other name for MM is purchase to pay, or even we can call it a order to pay. That is P2P or O2P, or the other name is MM. So why we need this model SAP MM? The purpose of SAP MM module, where it starts and where it ends. So right from identifying of the requirement of the material up to payment to the vendor. Okay. The next case is stock available. What is the meaning of stock available? The customer has placed an order to the company to execute. The company is having the stocks of the raw materials. So here also planning will take place. The order is called planned order. As the company is having the stocks of the raw materials, so company will directly go for production, create a production order, supply the stocks of the raw material to production department, goods issue, confirm the production order. So here we have the stocks of the raw materials. Therefore, goods issue again is a production order. From stores, we'll supply the raw material to production department. Production department will give and confirm the production order. And here also we create a GR again as the production order. Same document, GR with reference to production order, GR with reference to purchase order. GR with reference to purchase order means when the material is coming from the supplier from outside. GR with reference to production order means when the company produces a finished material inside, internally. Then they technically complete the production order settlement takes place, and finally deliver the material to the customer, where sales billing and sales invoice takes place. Here the company is going to receive the payments from the customer. In the previous case, company has done the payment to the vendor, received by the financial department. Okay. Finally, sales billing takes place, receive the payments from the customer, done by the finance department. So this total cycle comes under procurement called internal procurement, that leads to a module called PP, production planning. So this total procurement comes under procurement called internal procurement, that leads to a module called production plan. And finally, you can see the total overall business process flow. Now, just now I told you each and every department or each and every functional modules are integrated, into one another. Now here we can see all the modules are integrated. First, customer places an order to the company. It triggers MRP. Once MRP is triggered, the MRP decides the type of planning we have to go. If the company don't have the enough stocks of the raw materials, so go for purchase external. The word external means from outside, from the supplier, company is going to purchase it. Company is going to procure it. Therefore, here accounts payable. Company is going to do the payment to the supplier. After receiving the stock, next what we are going to do? Supply. We are issue the raw materials to production department. So when the production department is having the stocks of the raw materials, then they will think about the production planning activities. Finally, ends with the costing department, controlling the. And later on, again as a customer order, ship the material, sales billing, and accounts receivables, receiving the payments from the customer. So like this, each and every functional modules are integrated to one another. So it means first purchase, then production, then later on sales. Okay. So this is a fundamental business process takes place in any organization. So customer has placed a business order to the company and company has accepted the customer business order. Then what will be the next level of action done by the company? Suppose they have the stocks of the raw materials, happily go for production planning activities. You produce the finished material, ship the material, receive the payments from the customer. If not, so go for purchasing of the raw materials, procure the raw materials, subcomponents, make the stocks available in the company, then start with production, then sales. Any doubts you can ask me this in this flow diagram. What is external procurement? In which case you will go for external procurement. What is internal procurement? In which case you go for internal procurement. Then later on you'll get the sales part. Purchase, production, then sales. So here we are calling it as accounts payable. Who are going to do the payment? The company is doing the payment to the suppliers because they have purchased it. Here accounts receivable. Who are going to receive the payments? Company is going to receive the payments. From whom? From where? From the customer. Because company has delivered the final component, finished material. And this is a standard procurement MM cycle. Requirement identification, source determination, vendor selection, PO processing, monitoring of the PO, goods receipt, receive the stocks, verify the invoice, and payment to the vendor. So to perform all these activities in our SAP system, we need to design or we need to frame the organization structure in the real time. So a group of functional consultants will involve to design or to frame this organization structure in the real time. So without designing this organization structure, we cannot run the show in SAP. The same diagram we can see even in our SAP system also. Provided we need to define and we need to create all these organization elements. And coming to the course content, what we are going to discuss in our training program: introduction, organization structure, master data, purchasing, document types, that is background settings for purchasing documents, release procedure, pricing procedure, external services management, optimized purchasing, inventory management, physical inventory, special stocks and special procurement types, special stocks, special procurement types, batch management, valuation account determination, invoice verification. After that, we are going to see how the SAP MM module is going to integrate with other modules like finance, sales, production, warehouse, and quality management. So this is our course content, what we are going to discuss in our training.